Anyway.
Well, what I want to say is that it's one of my favorite tracks. And every time it comes on or a friend references you guys, everybody always just goes, as the rush comes, as the rush comes.
Right.
And no matter if you guys remix it or it's the original, I feel like the community, as you saw last night, embraces it no matter what form it's in.
Right. Well, because it's a song about celebrating letting go. And I think that's what people identify with it. And it's also catchy as fuck. So.
Yeah, that helps.
And, we really tried to make Motorcycle an act. In hindsight, it was a horrible business decision because it should have been Gabriel and Dresden featuring Jess. Because we'd be way bigger as an artist if it said Gabriel and Dresden featuring Jess. But we believed that Jess could be an artist that we produce, like Motorcycle. We're just kind of two dumb dudes in the background, but she's the star, So,
but as we're talking about this, I have the music video playing in my head because I've watched that many times. And whether it's Motorcycle or you guys, it's synonymous with your body of work. So,
but I hear, one of the most frequent things I hear from people is, dude, I didn't know you were Motorcycle.
That's true.
So, people think we just remixed it because we made two versions. We made a 129 beats per minute kind of Planet Funk style track. It was very inspired by Planet Funk.
Okay.
And that was the one I loved. I loved that one. And that was the original. That's what we produced from the vocals that we recorded. And Josh was always like, it's not quite right. So I'm like, dude, you're wrong. It's fucking amazing, right? And so he started on the Sweeping Strings mix as an experiment. Because he had just gone and seen Tiesto the night before.
Oh, okay.
Tiesto was playing a lot of techno. And so Josh was like really into the hard kicks and the hard, the driving bass lines. And so he just wanted to kind of just be inspired by what he had just heard. So he took the vocals and stretched them up to 135 beats per minute. And he called it As the Rush Techno. And sent it to me. And he wouldn't send it to me until he was good and ready to send it to me. Right? And I'm like, okay, fine, because for me, we already had the version, and so when he finally sent it to me, I was like a little bit like, where are we going with this? Where's the chorus? The chorus takes 7 minutes to get to the chorus. That's weird.
It is long.
It's weird, but I was like, you know what? I think all we need is some beautiful strings at the end. And he pulls up a patch on the synthesizer called Sweeping Strings. And so I was like, that's exactly what we need, right?
Yeah. Just adds that much. Yeah.
And then I was just done with the other version. That was the version, As the Rush Techno. And yeah.
Well,
that's the version that became the version.
That became the version.
Yes.
So then you switched the track name to As the Rush Comes, right?
Yeah. Well, that was just our working title, As the Rush Techno.
And what I want to talk to you about and get your perspective is genres, because for now there's debates.
I know.
And
there always will be debates.
I know, but what gets me, especially in this day and age, is how people are afraid of the word trance. And a lot of, no matter who, I just heard a podcast with Sam Divine, and she said she was a trance head.
Yeah.
First.
Everybody was.
Yeah. Why do you think there's this turnabout?
I think that what happened with trance is that the innovators are the innovators, Paul Van Dyke, Ferry Corsten, Rank One, Jam and Spoon.
Right.
Those guys invented it, and a lot of people took it, but they didn't have that. There's an X factor to those producers' music, and I think that people just started trying to make music for the Beatport chart because they saw careers breaking on Beatport, and so it was almost like, and no disrespect to anybody who makes trance, because if you can write a song and produce it and release it, hats off to you. But like, you listen to like these older records, Cosmic Gate, their early music, Du Monde. These records are just like, they're what defined the music.
Right.
But like, nobody's taking it in the trance genre. People were getting too cheesy. And then big room EDM kind of, in a lot of ways, like Deadmau5 music was kind of trancey.
Yeah.
And like, even like the Swedish House Mafia, all that stuff, it has elements of trance in it.
Right.
But, the innovation in trance stopped. And so trance became kind of a bad word because it was just, well, first of all, it dominated for so long that everybody who wasn't trance was just like, fucking thank God it's not the dominant sound anymore. Like, we can get booked,
Right.
And for years, no house music was happening on a level. So, I think that after big room EDM, it's like deep house was what everybody needed, and so that's the opposite of trance. And so, because I think that like the group of people that came into dance music with Deadmau5 and Swedish House Mafia and Nicky Romero and all that, Vici, they were growing up, and their tastes were, maturing.
Right.
And so, it felt like the logical progression would be trance, but the music was not innovating. And so house music was what became successful after big room EDM. And I think that that's really where trance sort of fell out of favor with people. And like, the cool kids, like Pete Tong, they didn't like trance. The cool kids didn't like it. Even if they had liked it, they didn't like it anymore or wouldn't admit it. And so trance really has kind of come back around through techno, I feel like. And I mean, in recent times, techno has gotten a lot darker and harder, I feel like. But like, there was like a couple years where like you couldn't tell the difference between trance and techno, to me.
Well, recently in the last 4 or 5 years, when you listen to techno sets, they play more trance. Mm-hmm. And I feel some trance sets are.
A lot of those records in the 90s, because there wasn't a trance section, and they came from Germany, so everybody just assumed it was techno. And so, like, back then, like, everybody was playing Age of Love and Binary Finery and, like...
Goriella.
Yeah, Goriella, maybe to a lesser degree. Like, Ferry Corsten's productions, there were, like, the Sasha and Digweed progressive trance types. And then, when Ferry Corsten came out, I feel like that sort of divided the Sasha and Digweed progressive trance from this other genre of trance. And that's, I think Ferry Corsten's the dude that really blew trance wide open.
Especially with all his different aliases.
Yes, well, just the productions. They were just all so goddamn good.
Right. Well, now I kind of want to fast forward in recent years, because during the pandemic, Club Quarantine was born. Uh-huh. And what has that done for you and Josh in terms of Gabriel Dresden as a whole, and how you saw last night people were wearing plant t-shirts and there's all kinds of...
I mean, it first of all, 2020 was my favorite year ever. Okay?
Despite the circumstances.
Despite the unrest, it all made me feel like what I was doing was important. And that's what motivated me. Like, just knowing how everybody was... I was struggling, like, all the unrest and all the like, you know, people fighting over masks and like what if Fauci bad, you know, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
That was bad, but like just being able to like literally go into my living room, press start, and play music for thousands of people. I was like, I don't ever want this to end. And what did it do? I mean, it did a lot of great things for us. I mean, it definitely got us a lot more fans. People learned about our music that had never heard of us. It also, I feel like, made us a little bit more important in the Anjuna world. Like people who thought maybe we were too deep, they now got it. They now understood. Like I didn't really understand or like G&D until the stream, so it was like there was that. You know, the one thing that really wasn't good is that it took up so much time that we did not make any music in 2020, 2021, and part of 2022. Because I mean, I never had any time. I actually went weeks without talking to Josh, except for stream days.
Yeah, that's a little much.
Yeah, so it like definitely set us backwards in like, you know, everybody when COVID was over, everybody was out of the gate with all their new jams, like, you know, one record a month they're releasing, and like that's what the Spotify algorithm needs now. You have to release songs once a month now to like get your algorithm going, because the more music you release, the more they're willing to put your shit into like
Playlists.
Editorial playlists and like even just like recommendations and all kinds of stuff. And so we're definitely behind the 8 ball on that. But you know, like I played the Groove Cruise in 2014 and was pretty much anonymous the entire time. And like I got recognized a couple of times, not very often. And like here it's just like it feels like these are all my friends, and like everybody's aware of who I am and who we are and what we do. So
Definitely.
So having a video, podcast really has definitely helped in a lot of ways.
And it helps. It's on a platform that people
use.
Yeah, and also the perks of being a creator on there is obviously people subscribe to you guys and donate and keep it afloat,
Yeah, and I mean that actually wasn't the reason why I picked Twitch. I didn't even know. I had no idea anything about that platform when I signed up. And because I was wanting to stream on Facebook just because we had 135,000 followers.
Yeah. It's Facebook.
But and I'm just like, that's where everybody is. But Facebook doesn't like people playing copywritten music on their platform. So Twitch, they don't mind it. So,
to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. Well, they'll cut the songs out of your video on demand.
Right. Well, we're talking on the cruise, but like moving. I know you guys. You said you're a little behind on music, but you're working on it now, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys doing another album, or are you doing?
Well, we're finishing this EP. It's crazy. We've been working on this EP for a year.
Okay.
Not every day.
Right.
And because also, I mean, we did a lot of touring last year, so that definitely cuts into music making time. Although having Josh not on the road definitely helps to keep music flowing, but we need to collaborate. It's like, because things get lost in translation if you don't work together, and so we're doing good. It's just we got to get this EP done, and then we're gonna we're starting to. We always have to be like toying with where are we going next,
Right.
And so like I've been making a mood board of like music that I would like to be inspired by, whether it be new, old, just things.
Right.
And so I definitely feel like we love deep, progressive house, melodic, not the bum 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 bum,
Yeah.
but like, you know, beautiful music. And like there's definitely a home for it if we could make it on a good label. So I feel like that's what we're gonna do next. Is something more deep, something more, dare I say, Tin Liquor-ish.
But I like Tin Liquor.
You know, music that's emotional but slower. Yeah, like the Ingenuity music, basically.
Right.
But with our own style added in.
Distinct sound.
Distinct sound, yes.
Yeah.
So, but we're not there yet. We're finishing the EP. We're like literally almost done. Like I think like 1 or 2 more days, and I think we're good.
Wow, that's awesome. So, what do you like? I know you've taken some time off recently of just, you know, you love the nature.
What this has been the last 6 months of my life has sort of been like overcoming burnout while not taking off. But just like trying to make time for myself, because the live stream and all that definitely led to burnout, right? And like, I mean, there was some problems in my personal life too, and just not feeling like you're enough in the music industry, and just flying all over the place. I mean, I was doing streams, I was flying, I was working with Josh, just taking care of my family. And like, I just was like, I got to my wit's end, really. If I had hair, I would have pulled it out. But I didn't. I kept saying I want to take a year off.
Right.
I want to take a year off, but I feel like at my age, taking a year off is suicide. Because
I can see how you feel that way, but
it would be amazing.
I'm a proponent for mental health, so
okay.
If you need to do it, you need to do it.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's possible.
Because I've even taken time off.
Probably a month.
From the podcast.
Right.
For that same reason.
Right.
Because of other stuff. And now I'm getting back into it, but I can understand.
Yeah. It's, well, the live stream, it wasn't, I didn't just plug a memory stick in and I was doing a new music show every Friday.
I know.
4 hours of new music.
I would tune into Techno Tuesdays, New Music Friday, and then you would do like pop-up streams, and I was like, you're always on.
Right. Because I actually fiended for it. I loved it so much. And, well, there was another thing that happened too, I can't really talk about.
That's
some people that I was working with that we had to let go. But yeah, I feel like I'm like kind of like a flower about to bud again,
Well, that's good.
Like I just like I went to one national park and I'm like and I'd leave and I'd be like, that was amazing, and then I need to do it again. And so like what I would do is I would tack an extra 2 days onto any gig I was doing and go to some national park near it. I'd rent a car, and like it was actually a really fun way of doing touring. It was like to not just leave and go to the next city, but to like do the show and then just get up the next morning and go hiking sober. I wasn't drinking, because normally I would just get wasted at shows and wake up the next morning feeling like, ugh.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I was like not drinking and really taking time to like give myself the space that I needed. And it's just the beauty. Just being out there in like nature, it's just, I don't even know how to describe it.
Well, I mean, when Remedy came out and you guys had that vine color, I was like, nice.
Yeah, Josh and I connected over our love of nature and the patterns that nature creates. That's what Organized Nature was all about, our record label.
One last question is, when Cosmic Gate remixed your guys' track a few years ago, and it was Grammy nominated, what did you think about that? Like, it's now in the Academy, and like,
it was amazing. Like, it was nice to be recognized, because that album meant so much to me.
Yeah. It's catharsis, right?
Well, there was. I mean, I've actually given this story on the stream.
I know. I'm just.
No. The Only Road, the album that came out in 2017, was like, it should have never happened. Like, you know, Josh and I broke up in 2008, and like, I definitely got to a point where I had a drug problem, and it's not why we broke up, but it was a contributing factor. But I had a drug problem, and it was bad, and there came a point where I was like, I could continue on this path and die, or I could choose life.
Right.
And I was like, I want life. I want to be successful again. I want to make music that makes people feel good again. And I want to get back together with Josh Gabriel, because the magic isn't there with anybody else I work with. I can't make the music that we make on my own. It was just like, how do you fill those shoes, right? And I was like, I reached out to Josh, and I said, I think we should just talk, because the magic is in you and me. And at first he wasn't really that interested, because a lot of things went down, a lot of things were said. There was a lot of hurt feelings, and but like, I missed my buddy. He was my homie for every day for like 8 years, you know.
Right.
And then like, it's just like a marriage, you know. When it breaks up, you're like, what do I do now? And like, so I got myself off the drugs, and then I reached out to Josh. I was definitely not gonna. I wanted him to know that I was good. So I went over to Amsterdam. That's where he moved to Amsterdam after we broke up.
Okay.
So I flew over to Amsterdam to meet up with him and just catch up. And I don't know how, but Armada heard about this. And they invited us over to the Armada offices to talk. And so the head of Armada, Michael Perrone, he was like, you realize that if Gabriel and Dresden got back together, it would be the biggest thing in dance music. And we were like, you know, we were just trying to like be cool with each other, you know, like, but it was nice to hear that. And we ended up signing with Armada. They're really good. They're very smart. I don't even know how they knew that. Like, maybe I posted something on Facebook or something that I was going over to Amsterdam. I don't know. I don't remember how they found out. But we signed with Armada. It didn't really work out because the industry was rapidly changing at that time, you know, and like music was just getting like more big room and like less on the trance tip, and definitely not the brand of music that we make. And so we that ran its course, and we felt really jaded about the music industry, and so we stopped making music altogether for like a year or two. Just it wasn't fulfilling, and we just weren't feeling it. But about a year before The Only Road, we started making music again, but never finishing anything. And so I was like, how do I get this spark back between us? You know, like, what is it gonna take? You know, do I need to do more research? Do I need to give him back massages? Do we need to go to a better dispensary? What
is it?
What do we need? And so it was a mutual friend who called him and invited him to his house in France. And while he was there, he was like, dude, don't you see it? What's happening? Your music is coming back. Your style of music is coming back, and you guys could be the guys. Like, if you guys went and made trance again, you guys could be the guys. And so Josh calls me up at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, like 3 a.m. there, or whatever. And he's like, all right, I got it. We're gonna make a trance album. We're gonna do it. And because for years I've been like, there's always Kickstarter. Because we were always like, we can't afford to make an album. That takes too much money. It's time. Mm-hmm. And you take less gigs so that you can focus on the music more. And so, and he's like, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to do that Kickstarter. And I was like, all right. Mm-hmm. And like, we did it.
I donated.
Yes.
We backed you on both albums.
Thank you. Well, we did that. And like, so like when that album came out, it was like all that shit that I personally had to go through to get there. It was so sweet to just even have that out there. Oh, also while that album was being made, I was going through a divorce.
Okay.
I call it the divorce album.
It seems like everybody has one, but yeah.
So like, yeah. So getting nominated for a Grammy for a song that was on that album was very meaningful to me because it was like the 10-year journey to get there was worth it to make music that had meaning like that.
Right, and it was impactful. Awesome.
And like the whole thing was just so organic. Like we had a laundry list of vocalists we wanted to work with, but nobody was available like until May, and we were like, no, we're gonna be finished by May. And like, so like we always had in the back burner Subtil singing. Mm-hmm. Subtil is Josh's partner,
right?
And I've watched her grow from somebody who could sing to somebody who can really sing. And like I said to Josh, because he had been like, what about Britt? You want to get Britt on? I was like, I don't know if she's ready yet. Because we actually made a song with her in 2011.
Okay.
It was on our album called Mixed for Feet. And it was the most ignored song I've ever seen of ours. Like, but it wasn't a single, it was on a mixed compilation.
Okay.
But her voice was just different than what anybody was used to. But she like worked on it over these years, and so when I had heard I had heard her singing I'm Not Like Everybody Else, like when I was just over at Josh's apartment working with him. And that's when I was like, yo dude, I think she might be like, we should work with her, she's really good. Like, and so it had a lot more meaning to have it be somebody who was in our circle on the vocals.
That's awesome. Well, you get to wrap up.
Okay.
You mentioned working on music, so you guys think in the next few months you'll be dropping any new singles? Or?
Yes, I do. In fact, I know there'll be a new single. I don't know what the date is yet, but it's a banger.
I can't wait.
It's a really good track, and yeah, I've been playing it like
as an ID in your sets?
Yes, as an ID in the sets, and it just goes over every time. And people are like, like the DMing and like, what's this song? Like, oh, that's an ID.
Right.
So, and that's like, to me, that's like how you know something is good. Is when people like
want to know what it is.
Want to know what it is before it's even out.
Cool. So, for those listening to this eventually, make sure you're following all the socials for Gabe and Josh, personal and as a group. Right. And I want to thank you for doing this.
Of course. I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Done after all these years.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.